Just a second. All right. First of all, before we continue, I'll quickly just give a disclaimer that whatever we discuss, these are your own personal views based on your experiences. So
Yes.
I would start with an initial question on the post that I made on model collapse. So you mentioned that model collapse was known for years before GPT 3.5. In your 2024 paper, which is Deconstructing the AI Myth, you talk about the inevitability of certain AI narratives. So, do you think the industry's rush to use synthetic data is another one of those profitable fallacies that will eventually damage the reliability of enterprise platforms?
It's the practice is not a fallacy in itself, but is not a blanket solution for, say, not having enough data of certain types that is
Mhm.
needed, for example, for training, for evaluation, even for testing. Um, it does fill gaps where certain types of data are just very unreliably accessed.
Right,
Um, and we are talking here again for training, evaluation, testing, but that's not in large quantities like petabytes or terabytes, but it could be few gigabytes, few hundred of megabytes in that range. So to fill those gaps, yes, but to scale big time, I
mhm,
using um, into production as a means to solve a structural issue of, say, data access or data just not being available unless you grab it, but with with
right,
dubious from the legal standpoint. Maybe that's not going to solve that problem. And synthetic data is not cheap to procure.
right,
Quality and you know what you actually need, not just to generate data. That's not going to be that expensive, but is not going to hit the mark. So to tune it and to have exactly what's needed to be relevant, that is not cheap. That doesn't come cheap. So A, one is the cost at doing it at scale, and B is not going to solve the problem because it cannot solve a structural problem of, you know, you just don't have that type of data full stop, or the access is totally unreliable. Therefore, you
right,
cannot just use it because it just doesn't make sense. You introduce a problem. So, but it does fill gaps, right? Now, filling gaps is fine, but solving a structural problem is not fine. And so that's where the hype is. A magic silver bullet that, oh, you don't have enough data, no worries, we're gonna generate it for you. I mean, no, you won't. Simple as
right.
that. You won't. Not at big scale, that is. So the structural problem needs solving, and the gaps remaining, then yes, synthetic data is a solution for that, for sure.
Got it. My next question would be on zero trust and artificial intelligence. So you are implementing zero trust security and configuration as code. How do you apply zero trust to the outputs of an AI agent? Uh, if we can't trust the training data due to collapse, can we ever truly verify an autonomous system in a high compliance industry like insurance?
Short answer, no, you can't, because there's no standard for IDMV right now.
Mhm.
And if there's no standard, then you cannot reliably identify. That's absolutely bad to implement your own standard because it means A, you cannot refactor, B, you cannot onboard anything from outside that is important enough because it's not going to comply with a standard, and good luck making it compliant with your standard. It's
Right.
just laws of physics. You can't fight the planet Earth and the laws of entropy. So it's not going to happen. Yes, if it's, you know, you create silos, then okay, you can create as many frameworks and standards as you want, but they just gonna be siloed. That's not really how automation works. Automation doesn't work well with silos because you don't have standardization. So IDMV standardization is a must. If you don't have it, forget about agentic AI and autonomous automation and so on. It's not going to happen. If you try to do it, it will just fail and it will fail fast. And if you just continue and deploy to production, it will wreck your business. Simple as that. That's what was going to happen. There's no doubt about it. The control theory is very clear on this, and that's why all automated production lines, they have by design a kill switch or a circuit breaker, all of them. They are not going live without that. It's one of the pillars of design. So with AI agents, that's not done. You cannot, there's no standardized way of stopping them right
Mhm.
now. You can certainly decouple. That's not that difficult to do it by design, but decoupling, i.e., you slide the button and you say it stopped. No, it did not stop. It continues to infer on the data that already has from you. But what you do is that you break the feedback loop, therefore you're not directly affected. You're still gonna be affected, but not as bad. Definitely the risk goes down a lot. But that's not stopping the agents. That's not stopping the agents.
Mhm.
If you have them in-house, then it's I guess it's easier to stop them, but you have to see of the repercussion. You cannot just go stop there and then the business stops. So that's why I'm saying this is a tough design problem that, and there's no standards for that when it comes to anything generative AI. There isn't.
Mhm.
Even with non-generative, is a tough problem to solve. But there, I mean, in the nuclear industry, there is a red button, and there's all automated systems there. There's a lot of ML and so on. But again, it has to be by design, and you have to have a framework that is standardized there. Because why? Because if you need to refactor, you're gonna
Mhm.
not gonna rework the whole architecture from the ground up. That's not really feasible. I mean, the effort
Right.
is like just way too big. So yes, that's why I'm saying the answer is no. And also, there's no standard of reliably identify agents right now.
Got it.
So
Uh,
because of that, zero trust is not possible with these
Not
things yet.
possible.
Not yet, not today.
Uh, my next question is on IEEE standards. So, as a contributor to IC 2201, cybersecurity for next gen connectivity is what I want to understand about. So, where do you see the biggest gap in AI standards? Like, is it in the security of the model or the integrity of the data?
In none, it's the complete lack of standardized benchmarking, which
Okay.
means every model is measured according to whatever those guys are defining. But that's not a standard, right? Is, what's needed is the equivalent of the SI system that determines that a second it's measured in the same way and is the
Mhm.
same wherever it's at the North Pole or the equator or Uttar Pradesh or Tamil Nadu or London. The second is the same, right?
Mhm.
That there's no such thing with AI systems. No such things. That's why the piles of benchmarks that don't mean anything really. And more, they're also useful for this information. You say every quarter we have the greatest model ever. Every quarter for at least 3 or 4 years running. Actually,
Right.
before that, GPT-3, I remember 175 billion, then 500 billion, then when it's coming 1 trillion, as if there's a race to have more parameters. No, it's a race to have a better output, better models, but that doesn't equate with more parameters straight up. Sometimes it
Yeah.
does, sometimes it doesn't. So the measuring the capability of an automated system has to be done in a standard way. Why? because otherwise you can't use that system in other parts. So
Right.
if you don't, it means it's a silo. But automation is not good with silo. That goes against the purpose of automation. Having silo is not, it's contrary to the purpose of automation. Um, so there's a problem right there. Standard benchmarking and standard benchmark, none of them exist. But some people say AGI, whatever, this, that. Yeah, it's a made up benchmark. Does it apply to all AI system? No, it doesn't. Therefore, it's not a standard.
Okay.
In that respect, in what is supposed to measure. I'm not saying a general standard for everything, but exactly as the SI, you have a standard measurements and the way to measure weights, and you have an agreed unit of measurement, which is a gram. What is a standard measurement for intelligence of machines? What is that? We don't have machine intelligence right now, but
Hmm.
that doesn't stop a standard to exist. You can have it, and then you say, well, yeah, we have zero because we measure it in a standard agreed way across the board. Therefore, we know it's zero. um, we we don't have to only think theoretically, because right now it's all theory, but it's obviously the zero intelligence. But when it comes to hard proof, there's no standard way of measuring that. Yes, it is zero, or maybe it goes to the scale of one, and that's not going to be the same as IQ for people, because with people it involves what? DNA intelligence and cognition and all these things that are not data.
Right.
With machines it's much more about data than other forms of information. Anyway, this doesn't exist. Therefore, when somebody on LinkedIn say AGI in here, whatever, like these guys should be shut immediately, because it's just stupid. Really, it's plain stupid. The question would be, uh, what are your projections? Why do you say 2030 and not with the year 3000, for example? There's nothing. How do you measure the actual state of works right now in machine intelligence, which is zero, but you say it's going to be by 2030 or 2032 or something. What are you based on? Nothing, right? It's all blurb. But this blurb is picked up by the algorithms and does the rounds at big, big, big
Hmm.
scale. And there are some people that really think transistors can think. I've seen those. I've seen those as early as late as 4 or 5 months ago. They are arguing hard on LinkedIn that transistors actually can think. It's that silly. It's that silly. It's zero science and so on. But what does that mean? It brings down all the standards, all
Right.
the expectation, all the standards. Of course, they change like fashion. There's another buzzword coming up, and then all this goes around. But it's equally unscientific. And again, it all comes back to you don't have anything to measure because you don't have an agreed ways of measuring across the board and the standard unit of measure. There isn't any. And because of that, that's what I'm saying. The answer is no.
Got it. Right. Uh, the On to the next question, that's on the myth of algorithmification. Like in your ECL 2024 publication, you discuss the harms of algorithmification. Is the just automate it mindset in the contact center actually a risk to data privacy, or is it a risk to customer experience itself?
It's not a risk to the experience. It's a risk to losing agency of your own life without even realizing it. Oh, I mean,
Right.
understand it. That you pay double the price for the same thing, which actually is happening and is happening before GPT 3.5. Um, why? Simply because your whole workflow is being algorithmified and you have no control over it. But you think you
Right.
do. You think you go and buy an airline ticket and you're paying the best price. I mean, no, usually you don't. You don't pay the best price usually. Why? Because your device ID is doing the rounds because your device has been fingerprinted and you don't even know about it, which means whoever using that device for anything is going to be tracked. May have nothing to do with flying,
Correct.
absolutely nothing to do with flying. Your clicks on anything you go, including an app, are recorded. How long did you spend on this page or on that page? Or did you scroll up and down, left or right? Did you zoom in, zoom out? How many times you clicked and where?
Yeah.
Where did you go with that journey? And so all these many data points, all tied to your, let's call it identity build up, and models make inferences about it. Those inferences are then sold to the highest bidder, not your data, the inferences on your data, your access to your profile build up by all this massive collection of data of all sorts about you. And again, this is not one website or a type of website. It's everywhere you go on the web, everywhere. Um, Even if you take an Uber, if you're, gullible enough to keep your GPS on, then good
Mhm.
luck with that. It's gonna know even your exact location every time you move around. You know, obviously it's a security risk too, but more than that, you're essentially surveilled. Really, this surveillance is go beyond tracking. And so because of that, you're gonna pay double for an airline ticket and you think it's the best. Because I compared, yeah, if you use an older machine that is not a Mac or a tablet that is like, I don't know, 8 years old instead of 1.5 year old,
Mhm.
you're gonna pay a lot less. If you have a certain identity built up for you, it's not your identity, it's not who you are at all. It's it's habits inferred from what you do around the web, wherever it's an app or websites and so on, and from where, and all this concatenation, then you're gonna pay more or less for the same thing. There's a lady that when I told her about that, she said, well, it actually happened to me. That was in 2024.
Mhm.
So she bought a flight ticket. She was flying with a friend. Same flight, next to each other. Okay? All identical. She paid 70 euros for that. And she was that sure it's a good price. Maybe not the minimum ever, but really a good price. Her
Mhm.
friend paid somewhere between 30 and 35 euros, half the price. And when I
Interesting.
told her that, she realized and she say, I asked her, what did you use? It was an iPad, not a last super new iPad, but probably, 1.5, 2 years old, something like that. So not really old, but not brand new. Her friend were using a non-Apple tablet that was also much older than 2 years. So that was one difference. I mean, there may have been other differences. I'm sure it's not just one data point, which is a device.
Right.
But again, goes to tell you that that matters. So she paid double the price for exactly the same thing. And she didn't even know. So that's one expression of algorithmification of society. You lose control over your own life. And people say, oh, that's extreme. Well, that's extreme, and unfortunately, it's also real. It is extreme and it is real.
Right.
That's unfortunate, but that's how it is.
Got it. My next set of questions are around the knowledge gaps, identifying the knowledge gaps. The I mean, you have led engineering at Apple and eBay. What is the architectural missing link for artificial intelligence? Is it a better model or is it better observability layer to catch these elementary errors before they even reach the customer?
What we have today is not AI at all. It has essentially really nothing to do with AI. It's machine learning in various forms.
Okay,
Um, so it's tooling. This is tooling, technology. AI is not at all technology at all. Is like saying QA is testing. I mean, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with testing. Testing, it's a method to get to an end. and the most necessary method to get to an end for sure.
Mhm.
But QA is not that. QA, it's assuring a standard of quality against standards. What we do about it, and of course it needs to test, because then how you know how it's going. But they are totally decoupled. QA cannot meet its ends without testing, and testing is pointless without a mind of quality, because that's why you test. You want to see, okay, what are the actual results? Are they good or bad? Therefore, you have to
Mhm.
decide how good looks like, right? Uh, but they are not at all the same. It's the same with AI. AI definitely needs machine learning for sure, but it's not about machine learning. It's not about technology. It uses technology to, reach important ends and goals, but it's not technology. It's independent of that. Independent, decoupled. So it uses one or the other technology based on context and so on. We don't have that today. There's zero intelligence. Like those systems don't adapt themselves, and adaptability is one of the core traits of intelligence. To give you an example, the oldest form of life in existence is approximately 800 million years old, and it's a unicellular organism called the amoeba. The amoeba does not have a brain. It has a
Right.
nervous system but does not have a brain. Now, why is that remarkable? It's first of all, it until about 2008, it was considered that not even stupid, less than stupid, like it doesn't have intelligence. Well, in 2008 and 9, it was proven that actually it has intelligence, scientifically proven, published, and so on. It has memory. It adapts to unforeseen dramatic changes in the environment, and it adapts quickly. So that's here the answer right there. That's why it survived 800 million years, and others didn't. And what happened in those period of time? It was five mass extinction events. One of them wiped out apparently 96% of all life on Earth, but not the amoeba. It didn't. Not the amoeba. It didn't. And the amoeba went through all that 800 million years and is still here. So what does it tell us? Intelligence cannot exist without adaptability. Adaptability defines intelligence. A stone doesn't have intelligence, but a stone also doesn't adapt. Pebble on beaches don't adapt.
Right.
They're just at the mercy of the environment and the nature of their matter, right? They don't adapt. And so life has an intelligence because life adapts. When it doesn't adapt, it transforms in something very different, i.e., dinosaurs don't exist anymore, but mammals exist, and so on. So it's all transforming. Now, transistors don't do that. Silicon motherboards don't do that. Simple test. Go to any data center. I know they have all these countermeasures, but they're, again, zero intelligence. They're hardwired,
Mhm.
and change the voltage or the current better by 20% up or down. 20%, no more than that, right? It's
Mhm.
not a big deal. Should not be a big deal. Well, everything, if it's 20% up, it will blow up. The whole lot blows up, the whole data center goes up in flames. If it's less than 20%, it seizes up like a seizure, uh, it's like a seizure. It will implode. It's just gonna totally shut down super quickly. So that's why data center and comms room, they have backup and current regulators and so on, but those are not intelligent at all. These are simple automation that responds to triggers, and it's a buffer of protection for a limited period of time, which is pretty generous limited period of time. We're not talking minutes here. We're talking many number, even 24 hours for sure. Zero intelligence. Well, if those will be intelligent, they wouldn't need that. They wouldn't need that. They will adapt to 20% up or down. They will adapt even to double somehow. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. That's why you have fuses and all those things, because otherwise even a 5% variation will blow up everything.
Right.
But for that you have fuses and so on. So that's the practicalities. That's a number one gap. When we say AI, because it's an easy acronym, we have to think that actually this is machine learning, it's technology, and it's debatable if it's learning or not. I still didn't make my mind. Some researchers say it doesn't learn, some researchers say it is a form of learning. But everybody agrees there's zero intelligence for now. Okay, so there's not actually AI. But ML, it's much more abstract than AI. AI, it's very easy to remember. So it's like a label, treat it as a label. The number one gap in so-called intelligent automated system is the misalignment problem. By misalignment, what we mean is that people have a scope and a purpose. Machines have no scope and purpose. By default, that is. The moment you're born, you have a purpose. Now you will shape your purpose as you grow up and get educated and do things. But that purpose exists from the first seconds of your life. A motherboard out of the production line doesn't have any purpose. It doesn't. People that use it have a purpose, yes, but that machine in itself doesn't. And so when it has autonomy, again, we don't have autonomous machine, but they can have degrees of autonomy for sure. We've seen that. Again, that purpose is not aligned with the people purpose that use it. Is not aligned. So that's number one gap. It's maybe addressable through machine intelligence when we will have it, if we will have it, but until then, that misalignment is there to stay. And that's important because it's right there at the core. We've seen how easy automation can be misused, right? Because of the misalignment of purpose, fundamentally. There are other reasons for that, of course, the intention of those people that want to use it for bad purposes, right? But also the misuse, not on purpose. I don't want to harm you or anyone, but because I don't really understand what's going on, I'm misusing it. And then I create a lot of harm around it. That's not my intention, but yes. Again, misalignment on purpose. So the misalignment, it's a age-old problem in automation that is here to stay for now. Yeah.
And it is addressable up to some extent.
It's addressable up to some extent, yes, but it's here to stay.
Got it. All right, I think that's all from my end. I think these were the questions.
Fine,
All
great.
right. Thank you so much, Bogdan. It
Okay.
was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for all the insights. And yeah, you have a lovely day. I'll stay in touch on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Take care, Akash.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.